there, friends and sane persons. It's Wednesday, so welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Wednesday Whimsy is a short show that I do almost every Wednesday night, with few exceptions. And I talk about a game topic, a top 10 list, something board game related, hopefully something fun, and we just kind of see how it goes. Very unstructured, but also, a pretty informal format we've got here. So today I'm kind of really excited because we're talking about a game that is definitely one of my favorite games of the year. It's one of those games that kind of took me by storm, and that game is Revive. Now, we did talk about this recently when we talked about our top 10 post-apocalyptic themes in games, and I mentioned on that recording that post-apocalyptic is a theme that has to work. It has to work hard because I am not in just because that's the theme. It's kind of like racing, right? If it's going to be that kind of game, that might be amazing, but it has to be something special in order to get in the door for me. So let's kind of talk about Revive. I've already hinted that I really like it, but let's start with kind of what it's about. So something terrible's happened. The world's been mostly destroyed. It looks like it's kind of, covered in snow and ice and water or something. And you are a tribe of people who are coming out trying to rebuild the world after whatever calamity has happened. And you're trying to, revive it. That theme is about as not there as can be in a game. This is a very much a game first theme in the background type of an experience. That's totally fine. I enjoy games with or without theme, but that's sort of the trappings here. What it really is it's kind of a hand management, almost a deck building game, but not quite. You're also going up tech trees and trying to, have machines that give you bonus actions. It's basically just a lot of Eurogame mechanisms with a loosely pasted on theme about rebuilding the world. So let's talk about how the game works. So the game has a couple of kind of key mechanisms. And let's go here to a picture so that I can kind of show some of these. Let's see, there should be one right here. Here is a picture of the game kind of in action. So one big portion of the game is this board. And as you can see, what you're trying to do is put your pieces out there. This actually looks like it must be a prototype because look how big those meeples are. They're much smaller in the game. But you're trying to, you're sort of flipping over these tiles and placing your wooden tokens out there in different places. On your turn, you're going to take normally either 2 actions or you're going to do a reset turn, which is called hibernate. One of the actions you can do is play a card. And let's go to this picture here. You've got this board, and it's a really nice board with, recessed pieces, dual layer. And you've got, at the start of the game, you've got 4 slots for cards. And each card has a different top and bottom. So you can play a card up at the top of your board for the top action, or you can play it at the bottom of the board for the bottom action, and you'll kind of tuck it under there. Now there are these tokens here, and you can place them on there, and those upgrade your card placement spots. So that if, for example, you'll see this one here, it's yellow. And so if you play a yellow colored card to this slot, you're going to get this bonus. Whereas if you play a gray colored card to this spot, you'll get this bonus. So you can kind of, or, you can see this one here, it's green or yellow, you'll get the bonus. So, there's sort of this idea that you can kind of upgrade these spots, and that will make it so that the game, these spots get better. And that's just kind of something you can do as part of the game. So one thing you can do is play a single card, get whatever the card gives you, which is either going to be a resource or some bonus action, something, plus any other bonuses. That's one of your 2 actions. Another thing you can do, and let's go back to this other one, is you can flip over one of these tiles on the board. It's called exploring. And there's usually some food or other resource cost. And you're going to look to where your nearest wooden piece is and count any spaces you'd have to go over to reach that. And though that's your range, so you have to pay food for every space of range, and then you pay food or books or whatever it costs to flip it over. It gets you some points. It gets you a new card from this line of cards into your deck, or into your hand right away, rather. And it also flips over this piece so that you can build, well, everybody can build more things on it. Now, another thing you can do is build these buildings. You've got two sizes of buildings, small or large. They can only be built on these sand spaces. The foolish man builds his house upon the sand. But you can pay either 3 or 5 for a small or large. And then where those things are, like, for example, this one here, it's next to this gray thing. And that means that when you build it, you get to move your token up, in this case, on the gray track, because it's next to the gray thing. There's 3 tracks, 3 colors. And if you build the small building, it moves it 1 space. If you build the large building, it moves it 2 spaces. And when you flip over one of these things and place it next to your buildings, you'll activate that new spot as well. And you'll see that you have here, we have these spots that you can get to. And when you get your token to this spot, there's going to be, well, here you can see there's this blue disc here. So as soon as you move this green token to here, you'll remove the blue disc, put it over here, maybe get you a bonus, definitely get you some end game points. And then you now have access to this spot, which is going to give you a special action, and you can use as a free action, you can place one of your electricity tokens on that machine to activate that machine's special ability. Some of them, like these sort of bigger ones here, they're actually blank on the board, and when you unlock it, you're going to go to a separate kind of market of these tokens and pick the one you want. So you're going to be customizing your board as the game goes by. Some of them require 2 different colors to reach there before it unlocks. Some of them require 1. But every time you're going to be moving up on these tracks, you're potentially unlocking a new special action. Another thing you can do, and I'm wondering if I'll find a picture of this, is you have these technologies that we're really looking at all the pictures here. But this one actually, I thought that would be that one. This one actually shows it. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. But you have this board, and on spaces, there are these city spaces out there, and you can place one of your workers on the city space to unlock some technology. It costs you a number of books, and then plus your range, and you're going to be able to place it out there, and that you unlock this special ability, and then you can kind of go up from there to unlock these different tiered trees. One of them on all of the boards lets you unlock this extra worker placement, or this extra card placement spot, which obviously lets you place an extra card, and you can actually use either the top or the bottom on that, so you've got a little bit more flexibility there. And then the other ones are going to be different special abilities, bonuses. There are these kind of alien head looking things. Those are going to be they're artifacts, major artifacts, and you have this scoring card, and you're going to score each of the things that's on it extra times for the different alien head artifacts that you have. And I think that's all of the actions. Maybe I forgot something, but that's okay. You'll forgive me. But ultimately, you're going to be scoring points. When you score the points, you're moving up this track, and you'll unlock various bonuses. And eventually, you're going to decide that it's time to hibernate. When you hibernate, you're going to move up a track, which is over here, get you a bonus. You will reset all of your cards. You'll take all the cards here from your kind of face down pile, put them in your active area, and any of your played cards will go over here to this kind of cool down pile. There are ways to remove cards from the slots during the turn and put them into the cooldown pile so that they'll come out a turn faster and also give you an extra spot. There are these special scoring spots you can place your things onto, which allow you to get points for different things. There's just a lot of kind of a mishmash of mechanisms, I guess I would say. But they all come together and make a really interesting game where you kind of really feel like you've got a lot of choice to deal with things. And so with that in mind, let's go on to what makes the game particularly special. So first of all, like I just said, is you've got a lot of choices. You can start the game and say, this game, I am focusing on this sort of track where I place the discs. So I'm going to be, maximizing that. I'm going to be moving up on these little tracks so that I unlock the technologies. You could instead, maybe discard one or two of them. And because like if you go up all the way down the yellow track, you get extra points for every yellow card you've added. And so you could, in theory, maybe think about customizing or specializing in a particular color, maybe at the detriment of looking at other tracks. I don't know. You could just be exploring, right? You could say, this game, I am just going to get so much food and I'm going to flip over all of these tiles because every time you do it, you're getting somewhere between 1 and 5 points. And that can be a lot. And that allows you access to other bonuses. There's just a lot of things you can do. And then you have the ability to customize these machines, which is in turn going to let you do extra bonus actions. You can customize the cards in your deck by getting the right ones, which have different abilities. There's this little switch thing, and the switch thing is going to let you use somebody else's played cards, which is nice, or it can just let you have any resource. It's a kind of a free action. It's a little bit of a throwaway, but it's a nice sort of bit of flexibility that you might need that can be very valuable at some point in the game. So there's just a lot of customization you can do, a lot of different options that you have. Another thing that's really nice in the game is the components. The components are really high quality. It's very good, sturdy cardboard. These nice double-layered boards with sort of recessed areas to put the tokens. Everything fits. Everything feels clean and organized. Just really very, very high marks in the production department. The cards are good quality. Nothing is like, over the top, huge miniatures or anything, but it feels very purposefully designed. Another thing that makes it special is that there are a whole bunch of different characters. You'll have a different tribe each game, and that's just going to give you a slightly different technological tree to go up and a slightly different special ability. But they are double-sided. More on that in a minute. But you could use one on one side that, for example, there's one that gives you bonuses for being next to the water spaces. Or on the other side, it lets you claim and double use the water spaces. Those just give you a bonus when you build next to them the first time. But it lets you kind of do that, and then you can use those things as your range, and they give you bonuses on the range. There's a bunch of others too. I don't, give you discounts on some things, or you don't pay for this, or you specialize in building buildings. Just a lot of different characters that you can use, which are going to make, it's not going to blow up the game, but they're small, subtle special abilities that can be very useful if you decide to really upgrade them and kind of just go with them. So there's that as well. I like that. It adds just enough variety without being over the top. The game is not long. Turns are pretty fast. You're just doing a couple of actions, and I actually also another positive is that the game is not that hard to learn. There are really just a few choices, and you get two of them, kind of like Terraforming Mars style almost. Or you can trigger your reset turn, and that's fine. You trigger the reset, that's going to get you everything back again, and you're ready to go for the next round. It also works pretty well solo. I will say the solo, while interesting and a great way to learn, isn't as exciting as playing with another person where you're actually competing for points. There's two actions that cost time, let's just say. You've got 20 time, and when you hibernate or do the reset turn, it costs you 2, and then if you play a card, it costs you 1. And so you've really got 20 of those ticks total that you can spend, and then whatever else you can do. And that kind of gives you a little bit of urgency, but ultimately it's kind of an unsatisfying beat your high score variant. There's a table, and you're trying to do that. I don't hate it. I do think that it's much better with other players, though. But yeah, those are some things that I found to be pretty special about the game. It just, I guess, I don't even know how to describe it, but it just feels like a well-designed game. There's so much you can do that you kind of approach it, and each game is a new puzzle for you to solve and a new experience for you to have. And I really enjoy that. Let's talk about the things that are less special, the butts. One is the artwork on the cards. The artwork on the cards, all of the cards have one of three illustrations. All the green cards have this like spy looking guy. All of the yellow cards have this gray alien, and all of the gray cards have this machine. And so there's not really any variety there. Um, yeah. Oh, sorry, another special thing. The iconography is very clear. It's always pretty easy. Just a few symbols, but they're very easy to pick up. So that's another plus. Anyway, so back to the butts. The cards are kind of boring looking. Okay, quality, but just not all that stand out. A second thing that's kind of a negative is the theme I mentioned is really barely there. You don't feel like you're rebuilding a society in any way. You're just trying to get points through a variety of ways. And the third but, and I guess I have to talk about it, is the game comes with a campaign, a little campaign deck that says, don't open until you are told to, and don't punch out these things that are in red until we tell you to. And that campaign is, I think, 4 games, and it's probably the most boring campaign that I think I have played. Basically, the first time you play the game normally, and then it says, unlock this additional rule. And this additional rule is a new rule for your Switch. Or it's the ability to draft your starting deck of cards. They are, and then there's 2 factions that unlock. But honestly, open the deck, throw away the story cards. It's not a good story at all. And just kind of add in the 2 new factions. They're no more complex. They are no different than the basic ones. There's no reason not just to start with them. Also, you unlock the backside of your boards, which has a slightly different special ability. Again, there's no point to do this with a campaign. You're not changing anything. It's not a legacy story. It's not like you're doing something that builds or influences a future game. You're just slowly adding a couple of extra rules. And the problem is some of those rules are only on these cards. So rather than being in the rule book where they should be, you've just got a couple of extra cards you got to keep track of because they have a couple of rules on them. The campaign, honestly, is a real dud. So I love the game, but I really wish that campaign hadn't even been in there. Or if it had to be, I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt anybody to play through it, but not unlock the rules through it. Have the rules all in the rule book, and then have a boring story that you can play through if you really want to. So anyway, those are my buts. But as you can tell, I really like this game. I'm not sure that I'm at a 10 out of 10 yet, but I'm definitely at a 9. And maybe it's like a 9 plus. I could see myself going to a 10. For now, it's a game that I'm always in the mood for. I don't know if it's my number 1 of 2022, but it's definitely in my top 10. It just kind of exploded into my life. All of a sudden it was there, and it was the game I was always in the mood to play, and still am. So definitely one I highly recommend. Obviously, if you are into a theme or a story, this one might not do it for you. But if you want a strong set of Euro game mechanisms and a lot of sort of unique choices and the ability to kind of try different things and customize your engine, it's not really an engine, but whatever it is, your player choices, this is the game for you. It may not revive the world, and this flower isn't really in the game at all. But it's definitely one that I will be wanting to play a lot as the year ends. It's one of my definite top 10s of the year, and one that I very highly recommend trying, especially if you like Euro style games. I will say it's a Porta. I think was it a Porta Games? Yeah, a Porta Games, and a Porta Games has abysmal distribution. It will be very difficult to find, unfortunately. I know Matago's kind of picked it up as a co-sponsoring publisher. Maybe that'll make it a little bit better, but it's. I suspect it will be difficult to find. That's, I guess, another negative. But if you can find it, or you know someone who has it, definitely this is one to try. One I highly, highly recommend. 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5, I guess I would say. Almost a perfect score. But anyway, one that I think you will not be disappointed with. So that's it for our episode today. That's it for Revive. And I hope you've enjoyed kind of talking about this game and thinking about it. And I don't know what we're doing next week, but I'm sure I'll be back with something else. Until then, I'll wish you safe travels and courage when you need it. And thanks for joining me on another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. See you next week. Bye-bye.